You're watching this video, there's a very good chance you're like many guys around the world right now, locked down, not able to go out and meet women, jumping onto online dating sites, looking for something casual and definitely not something long term. But do you know how to accomplish that on online dating sites? Because for most guys, this is not as easy as it sounds. Well, today I'm going to cover a couple of topics, a couple of online dating tips to help you out. First of all, I'm going to be looking at, should you talk about looking for something casual in your dating profile? Then I'm going to look at how to screen women's profiles, how to interpret women's profiles to try to work out which women are likely to be open to casual and which aren't. Then I'm going to look at how do you breach the topic with women in conversation? In other words, how do you let them know I don't want a relationship? How do you set the groundwork early on? And lastly, of course, when should you be escalating with him? Should you be going for sex straight away in the first date? Should you be organizing a first date specifically around having sex? Or should you extend it out and make it longer term? Questions, questions, questions. I'll be answering them all today in this video, so keep watching. Now, first of all, let's look at this situation. Should you be talking about casual sex or anything sexual in your profile? Now, there's a really good argument why this is a good idea, and there's a good argument why it's bad, and I'll tell you my thoughts. Basically, the good argument is this. If you put in your profile that you're not looking for anything long-term, then what you do is you screen out the women who are looking for something long-term so you don't waste your time. Huzzah! And all the women who match with you are just looking for something casual. That's the argument for. The argument against, and why I'm generally against it, is this. There's something that a lot of men don't realize when it comes to women and casual sex. If you think about Tinder right now, you'll find that the women on Tinder, about 60% of them only want a committed, monogamous relationship with a guy. So they're on there hoping to find a long-term boyfriend. 60% of the women on there. Now, we know that you don't want to match with them because what you want right now and what they want right now is a complete mismatch. Okay. Then if we look at the women who just want something like meaningless sex, like just something fun, let's hook up randomly on the side, it's about 10% of all the women on Tinder. However, if we look at the women who are open to something casual, but it's got to be with a guy they genuinely like, and what I like to call meaningful casual sex, that's 30% of women. So when it comes to all kinds of casual sex, in other words, non-committed sex, that's 40% of women. But if you just focus on the women who are looking for something like meaningless sex, like meaningless casual, you're only going to target 10%, as opposed to a full 40% who are open to something casual in general, but it's got to be meaningful. That is the 30% plus the 10%, because obviously you can target them both in the same way. So I often find that you don't want to preclude yourself and become exclusively about just meaningless sex. So if that's what you really want, that's fine, but you will be, reducing your potential results really quickly. So I don't generally advocate talking about that in your profile. Now, the second issue is, of course, how do you choose profiles? In other words, how are you going to choose women who you're going to match with? Because what you don't want to do is just, well, first of all, Tinder doesn't like it when guys swipe right on every woman, so that's a bad idea. And then you also don't want to waste too much time talking to women, flirting with women who are probably not looking for the same things that you are. So what do I tend to screen out? What am I looking for? Well, I could do a video for 20 minutes on this, but I've got a couple of examples here on my phone that I'm going to throw up here on the screen in a second that I'm going to talk through with you. So first of all, you want to try to find profiles that are a little bit, women like to be ambiguous with what they want. Women like subtlety. They generally don't like directness around sex, especially. So occasionally you'll get women saying outright, hey, I just want something casual. That will happen on occasion, but it's not going to be super frequent. And you get those, great. Go ahead and try to match with them. The problem is that they're going to get matched by so many guys, the competition is ridiculously fierce with those women. Other women, however, they tend to be a little bit more subtle with what they write in their profiles. So they may write a thing like this one, small boobs, big personality. To be honest, I just want to find a guy with a dog I can hang out with occasionally. Just moved to Burleigh Heads from Melbourne. So I like this one because, again, she's using the word casually hang out from time to time. That's a positive sign. She's new to the area, which is another positive sign. Women generally don't want to get locked down when they're new to an area. So any woman who's new to where you live is generally a really good sign. That's a very good green flag. It's not a definite, but it's a really great sign that you're probably not looking for anything too serious. But you can see here she talked about something casual-ish sounding in her profile. That means something. Here's another example of something that's more vague. And again, this isn't a super green flag, but it's not a red flag. And these profiles are okay. So she says, 28 GC project manager, graphic design entrepreneur, opinionated, not tall. Not myself when I'm hungry, always needs saving, hates being saved. Not here for anything particular. But maybe not particularly anything at all, because that's not confusing, right? So again, the subtlety. You'll find the subtlety comes up when you start reading what a lot of women write. These are good ones. I love the subtle ones. They're almost, let's say 80% of the time, they're open to something meaningfully casual. So that's a really good one. Okay, so another type of profile that I recommend is any woman, I mentioned this before, but new to your area, but especially when they're from foreign countries, new to your area. So they've come in to study. Here's one, a Colombian, invite me to dance. I would say yes. She hasn't said much in her profile, but what I do know is that she's new to the area. Now, obviously, that depends a little bit on where they're from too. So, for example, a Chinese student here is far less likely to be open to something meaningfully casual than a Colombian or a Brazilian or a South American of some description or a Canadian, right? So you got to pick, your countries to some degree. And this all goes into my thinking. If I meet a girl who's say, Japanese student here, I'm not as eager to swipe right if I'm only looking for something casual, as if I'm talking to a woman who's from, say, the Ukraine, right? It's just different countries are going to have different behavior patterns when they're traveling. Now, there are some kinds of profiles that you want to avoid, profiles that really aren't going to work in your favor. See, what a lot of guys do when they're trying to pick profiles is they try to pick the profiles where the women are super sexy all the time in all their photos, right? And I don't just mean super sexy. I mean, these are really quality photos, like high-grade photographer, modeling style shots. They're almost never, ever, ever going to be out for casual sex. I don't even have a great explanation. I can come up with theories, but I haven't really gone into it. They're just never very good. So I usually say when you get shots like that, it's not a great sign. However, if you get a photo of a girl who she looks like a regular girl in her photos, but then she's got like one sexy shot, like one photo of her in lingerie, like this photo right here is a great example of a girl that I met up with a few weeks ago. The rest of her profile is just, I won't show you because I don't want to avoid her privacy, but they're just regular looking shots. Like you can tell she's a real woman. And then the lingerie photo is not a high grade one. It's like a lingerie selfie, right? It's like a sexy selfie shot that she's trying to take. That's brilliant. Those profiles, they tend to have a lot of competition, but you also know that they're almost certainly open to something more casual and not serious. So these are some of the things that I'm looking for. Obviously, some women are going to say that they, if they're only looking for a long-term relationship, swipe left straight away. If they mention they have kids, I tend to be a little bit cautious. If they mention that they're very family-oriented, I tend to swipe left. So these are some of the signs that I tend to look out for, that they're more a swipe left kind of woman. Again, think about the profile shots that she's using. I will say, though, that most women that I've had casual sex with from online dating, they don't use sexy shots at all. Like, nothing crazy. I live in a beach suburb, so there are lots of bikini photos, but that's a normal part of most women's lives here. But, they generally won't have a lot of sexy shots. It's not like that with these women. It will be like that with some of the ones who are open to, right now, meaningless casual sex. But the other 30%, they're not going to be so obvious to tell from their clothing. But try to see the kind of photos they're putting up. Try to see what parts of themselves they're trying to put forward. It'll tell you a little bit about them, but not nearly as much as what they write in their profiles. And again, I shouldn't have to mention this, but ignore any woman who just has her Instagram link and a whole bunch of sexy Instagram shots. Again, she's not going to be very useful because she's generally just hunting for Instagram followers. Thirdly, how do I breach the topic of casual sex? I almost always do it while I'm talking to them, but I usually wait. So I don't do it too early on. My first goal, to give you a bit of an idea, when I talk to a woman online, my first goal is having fun. Make it fun. That's step number one, because that's going to get her locked in and get her paying attention to me. Step number two is I'm trying to connect with her and have an interesting conversation. Step three is get her off of Tinder. In other words, I'll get her phone number, get her WhatsApp, get her Instagram if you use Instagram, but get her off Tinder. Then I'll message her and I'll So usually what I'll say is, to get her off, is I'll say, hey, I've really enjoyed chatting to you. I'd totally love to catch up for a sneaky coffee sometime. What's your number? Or do you use Instagram? Or do you use WhatsApp? Whatever it is, get her details, right? So I'm talking about a date already. Then I'll get her off of Instagram and I'll say to her, hey, looking forward to catching up. I thought I should just let you know, because you're a really cool chick. I just want to let you know that I'm in a position where I'm really enjoying being single right now. I'm not looking for anything too serious, whatever you're going to say. That's when I say it. But what's really critical, what's really important, is to remember that most women are looking for meaningful, a far larger percentage of women are looking for meaningful casual sex, not meaningless casual sex. So what you really want to do, if you're open to that yourself, and you should be, I think that's more rewarding anyway, is mention that. Say, look, I'm not looking for anything long term, but I'm not looking for random sex either. I really want to find a woman I genuinely like and connect with, to be intimate with and have fun, where there's no committed relationship behind it. To me, that would be ideal. And when I do that, when I make that pitch, I get a far higher percentage of women saying, you know what, I'm open to that. Then if I just go, hey, I'm not looking for anything serious, just want something casual, are you down for it? If I say that, I tend to get far more women saying, no, I'm not down for it. Obviously, some will say yes. But you want to try to target that full section, right? The 40%, the 30 plus the 10, not just the 10, because you can, triple your results, which, hey, I reckon that's worthwhile. Quadruple, actually. So yeah, that's how I go about propositioning women and letting them know where I'm at. And I always do it before a first date. Why? Because I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste her time, but I especially don't want to waste mine going on dates with women who only want a long-term relationship. So that's when I bring up the topic, and that's how I do it. Lastly, and I know that this is controversial. Every time I talk about this, I get guys in my comments saying, blah, 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 this is bad news, this is bad advice. Number 4 is, should you go for sex at the end of the first date, or should you wait? How should you sort of do this? If you're talking to a woman who's in that 10%, and this is the thing, a lot of guys who target women for casual sex on online dating sites are only targeting the 10%. So what they're doing is they're finding women who are just looking for meaningless casual sex. So if you can find them and you can match with them, by the way, you generally need a far higher quality profile to get those women because they're in such high demand. So if you can actually get them, then yes, with those women, you need to have sex on the first date. That's what that first date is all about. You've got to make that happen. But if you're exploring your range into the women who are looking for meaningful casual sex, I find it super powerful to have a first date that's really awesome, like a lot of fun, a lot of connection, maybe a few drinks, definitely you got some flirting, maybe a make out at the end, but I'm not trying to get laid. At the end of that date, that's how I leave things, sexually charged. Because then the second date is when I'm going for something casual. So we've built the relationship, I've demonstrated that, hey, we can have connection, we really like each other, we're fun to be around. Second date, let's have dinner at my place. Like, there's a really great movie you've got to watch. Or something along these lines. So a date that's now suddenly built around the idea that sex is probably going to happen. That's how I structure it, because I'm going for the larger percentage, because I don't enjoy meaningless casual sex as much as meaningful casual sex. I really enjoy it when I connect with a woman. The sex is so much better and so much more exciting because you actually like her. I'm not passing judgment on anyone who's just looking for the meaningless stuff. I don't mean that as a judgment call. I just mean I enjoy it more, and I honestly believe most men would too. So that is the distinction you got to try to make in your heads. If she pings in your head as someone who just wants meaningless casual sex, then fine. First date it should be. But if you're expanding that range, you should definitely wait until the second date. No longer, if you start making it third, fourth, fifth date, now you're starting to create a relationship. And you got to be careful not to do that if you don't want a relationship. So guys, obviously this is like the Cliff Notes version of how to get casual sex from online dating. I highly recommend you take advantage of my coronavirus special for my course, School of Online Dating. Basically what it is you can do my full course, School of Online Dating, which talks you through how to create an incredible profile, how to match with women, how to get them to give you their number, how to get them out on dates, and everything in between. The entire program, if you sign up and pay right now, and you complete it in full within 30 days, you will get all of your money back. In other words, you'll get an email at the end saying, hey, do you want your money back? And you can opt to give us, for us to give you all of your money back, or a partial refund if you want to leave some for us to say thank you. But you can get all your money back if you like, so long as you complete the course. I'm not crazy. I'm not doing this just to be nice, although I do want to help guys out during this crazy period. I'm doing it because I want to build goodwill. Right now, a lot of men are suffering. And if I do something like this, I can generate goodwill. I'll still make a little bit of money because some guys are going to ask for partial refunds or no refunds at all. But there's no pressure on you guys. We're just doing it because we want to build goodwill amongst a community of guys in an industry that often leaves a little bit to be desired when it comes to really genuinely trying to help people. So take advantage of that right now. Go ahead and click on the link. And I hope to see more of you in our members-only Facebook group. For the rest, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and check out some of my other videos because I reckon if you like this one, you're probably going to like those as well. As always, take care during this crazy period, and I look forward to seeing you in my future videos.